You've been taught that visualization is about positive thinking and pretty pictures in your mind. But what if everything you've learned about visualization is backwards? What if the reason your dreams stay trapped in imagination while your reality remains unchanged isn't because you're not trying hard enough, but because you're missing the quantum foundation that makes visualization actually work? There's a truth that ancient mystics understood and quantum physics now confirms. Consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it participates in creating it. When you visualize with true quantum principles, you're not just daydreaming or engaging in wishful fantasy. You're literally programming the field of infinite possibility that surrounds you. Yet most people approach visualization like they're watching a movie instead of directing one. They create weak, inconsistent signals that get lost in the noise of ordinary consciousness. The difference between visualization that transforms your world and visualization that leaves you exactly where you started isn't effort or positive attitude. It's understanding how consciousness itself operates as a creative force in the quantum field of reality. Let me take you into this deeper truth, because once you understand how visualization actually works at the quantum level, everything changes. You'll discover why your current approach might be reinforcing the very patterns you're trying to escape, and more importantly, how to align your inner vision with the creative principles that govern reality itself, the hidden architecture of reality creation. Every transformation begins in the unseen realm of consciousness before it crystallizes into physical form. A musician hears the complete symphony before the first note is written. An inventor sees the finished creation before blueprints exist. This isn't metaphor. It's the fundamental sequence through which all manifestation occurs. The realm of pure potential must be shaped by consciousness before it can emerge as experience. What most people don't realize is that visualization isn't about creating something from nothing. It's about selecting from the infinite field of possibilities that already exist in quantum superposition. Think of it this way. In the quantum realm, every possible version of your life exists simultaneously until consciousness collapses that infinite potential into a single experienced reality. Visualization is how you consciously choose which possibility becomes your lived experience. This is where most approaches to visualization fail completely. They treat the mind like a wishing well instead of recognizing it as a quantum selection device. When you visualize without understanding this deeper mechanism, you're sending mixed signals into the field. One moment you're imagining success, the next you're worried about failure. One day you see abundance, the next you focus on lack. These conflicting signals cancel each other out, leaving you trapped in the same reality loop. But when you approach visualization as quantum selection, as a conscious choice about which version of reality you're going to collapse into existence, everything shifts. You're no longer hoping something will happen. You're actively participating in the creation of what will happen. This isn't positive thinking. This is applied quantum consciousness. The ancient teachings and modern science converge on this truth. What you consistently hold in consciousness with precision and emotional coherence eventually becomes your experienced reality. Your inner world is the template from which your outer world is constructed. But the key word here is consistently. Random visualization is like random radio signals. They create static, not music. Most people have been conditioned to believe that their outer circumstances create their inner experience. They wait for their reality to change before they allow themselves to feel different. But quantum physics reveals the opposite. Consciousness shapes the collapse of the wave function. Your inner state determines which possibilities crystallize into your lived experience. This reversal of causation is perhaps the most important shift you can make in understanding how reality actually works. When you grasp this fundamental principle, you realize that waiting for external conditions to change before you feel differently is like expecting the mirror to smile before you do. The mirror can only reflect what you present to it. Reality can only mirror the consciousness you bring to it. This understanding transforms visualization from wishful thinking into conscious reality engineering. The first quantum principle: precision beyond imagination. Precision is the first quantum principle of effective visualization. In the quantum field, vague intentions produce vague results. When you visualize being successful or feeling happy, you're sending an unclear signal that the field can't respond to with specificity. It's like giving someone directions by saying, "Go somewhere nice." The instruction is too general to be useful. Quantum visualization requires you to become absolutely specific about the reality you're selecting. Not just, "I want a better relationship," but the exact feeling of deep connection, the precise quality of communication, the specific ways love flows between you and another. Not just, "I want financial abundance," but the particular sense of security, the exact freedom that comes with having resources, the specific ways abundance expresses itself in your daily experience. This precision isn't about controlling every detail of how things unfold. It's about giving consciousness a clear target to move toward. When you define the essence of what you want with quantum specificity, you create what scientists call coherent resonance, a clear signal that the field can match and amplify. Your brain operates like a quantum computer, processing millions of bits of information and selecting which ones to bring into conscious awareness. When you visualize with precision, you're programming this quantum computer to notice and attract experiences that match your inner template. Suddenly, opportunities that were always there become visible. Resources that existed all along reveal themselves. The world hasn't changed. Your ability to perceive and interact with it has been quantum-tuned. But precision without consistency is like a single note trying to become a symphony. It takes repetition to build quantum momentum, to create the sustained, coherent field that can actually shift reality patterns. The difference between vague intention and quantum precision is like the difference between candlelight and laser light. Both are forms of illumination, but laser light is coherent. All its photons are aligned in phase, frequency, and direction. This coherence gives laser light the power to cut through steel or perform delicate surgery. Your thoughts work the same way. Random, unfocused thoughts are like candlelight. They provide some illumination, but little power. Precise, coherent visualization is like laser light. It has the focus and intensity to actually cut through the fabric of old reality patterns and create new ones. This is why specificity matters so much in quantum visualization. When you get precise about the feeling state you want to embody, the qualities of experience you want to have, and the essence of what you're calling forth, you create what quantum physicists call phase coherence. Your mental energy becomes aligned and focused instead of scattered across hundreds of different possibilities. Think about the difference between saying, "I want to be healthier," versus "I want to wake up each morning feeling energized and strong in my body, with clear mental focus that carries me confidently through each day." The first statement is too vague for consciousness to grab onto. The second creates a specific template that your subconscious can begin working toward immediately. The second quantum principle, coherent repetition. Now that we've established the quantum foundation of precision, we encounter the second fundamental principle, coherent repetition. In quantum mechanics, when waves align consistently, they create what's called constructive interference, the phenomenon where synchronized signals amplify each other exponentially. Random scattered visualization creates destructive interference, where conflicting signals cancel each other out. But when you return to the same precise vision repeatedly, you build quantum coherence. This isn't mechanical repetition like a mantra you've memorized. This is conscious re-immersion into the same reality template until it becomes the dominant pattern in your consciousness. Each time you revisit your vision with full presence, you're strengthening the neural pathways that connect you to that possibility. You're literally rewiring your brain to expect and recognize that future as inevitable. Most people visualize when they feel like it, when they remember, when they're in the mood. This sporadic approach creates quantum static. True visualization happens at a specific time each day, with the same depth of engagement, building what scientists call phase-locked coherence. Just as a laser differs from ordinary light, because all its photons are perfectly synchronized, your visualization becomes truly powerful when all your mental energy is aligned in the same direction. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you turn the dial randomly, you hear fragments of different stations mixed with static. But when you lock onto one frequency and hold it steady, the signal becomes crystal clear. Your consciousness works the same way. Random thoughts create mental static. Coherent, repeated visualization creates a clear signal that the quantum field can respond to powerfully. Ancient traditions understood this principle deeply. Monks didn't meditate randomly. They established consistent practice that built spiritual momentum over time. Tibetan visualization practices weren't casual daydreaming. They were precise, repeated immersions into specific states of consciousness that gradually became permanent. The same quantum principles that govern their spiritual transformation govern your practical manifestation today. When precision meets repetition in your visualization practice, you create what quantum physicists call a standing wave, a stable pattern that can maintain itself and influence other patterns around it. Your consistent, precise vision becomes a quantum attractor, drawing experiences, opportunities, and circumstances into alignment with your inner template. But here's something crucial that most people miss. The timing of your repetition matters as much as the repetition itself. There are natural rhythms in consciousness that make certain times more receptive to visualization programming. The moments just after waking and just before sleep are quantum windows when your brain naturally shifts into the theta state, the frequency most conducive to subconscious reprogramming. During these theta states, the analytical mind relaxes its grip on what's possible, allowing you to plant new reality seeds directly into the fertile soil of the subconscious. This is why visualization practiced at these optimal times has exponentially more power than visualization practiced during ordinary waking consciousness. You're working with natural brain rhythms instead of against them. The repetition also needs to have what I call spiral progression. Each time you return to your vision, you're not just mechanically repeating the same images. You're deepening into layers of the experience you hadn't accessed before. One session, you might focus on the visual details of your desired reality. The next session, you might emphasize the emotional textures. Another session might highlight the kinesthetic sensations. This spiral deepening prevents your visualization from becoming stale while building increasingly rich neural networks around your chosen future. The third quantum principle, embodied emotional coherence. The third quantum principle moves us from mental activity into embodied creation, emotional coherence. In the quantum field, thought provides direction, but emotion provides the energy that actually moves things. Without genuine feeling, visualization remains trapped in the realm of imagination. With authentic emotion, it becomes a force that can reshape your lived experience. But here's where most people misunderstand completely. They think emotional coherence means manufacturing positive feelings or forcing themselves to feel happy about their vision. This creates emotional static, artificial feelings that your deeper consciousness recognizes as fake. True emotional coherence happens when you allow yourself to genuinely feel what it would be like to already be living your visualized reality. This is quantum embodiment. Instead of looking at your future from your current state, you step into your future and feel it from the inside. You don't imagine having the relationship you want. You feel the peace and connection of already being in it. You don't picture having abundance. You sense the security and freedom that abundance brings. You don't visualize being healthy. You experience the vitality and strength that health creates. This shift from observing your vision to inhabiting it changes everything. When you embody the emotional frequency of your desired reality, you literally become a vibrational match for it. The quantum field responds to frequency, not just thoughts. Two tuning forks of the same frequency will resonate with each other across any distance. When your emotional frequency matches the frequency of your desired reality, resonance begins automatically. Neuroscience confirms this quantum truth. When you genuinely feel the emotions of your visualized future, your brain releases the same neurochemicals it would release if that future were already happening. Your nervous system begins to expect and prepare for that reality. Your subconscious mind starts scanning for opportunities and resources that match your new emotional set point. You literally become a different person, someone who naturally attracts and recognizes the experiences you've been rehearsing internally. But this isn't about performing emotions or pretending to feel something you don't. Forced emotion creates quantum dissonance. True emotional coherence comes from the deeper recognition that the reality you're visualizing isn't separate from you. It's an expression of your expanded consciousness. When you truly understand this, the emotions flow naturally because you're not trying to attract something external. You're allowing something that's already yours in potential to become yours in experience. The ancient mystics called this acting as if, not pretending, but genuinely stepping into the consciousness of the person who already lives the reality you desire. When precision, repetition, and emotional coherence align, visualization stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You embody the frequency of your future until that future becomes your present. This embodied state creates what quantum field theorists call a morphic resonance, a pattern that influences the formation of similar patterns. Your coherent visualization doesn't just change your own experience, it actually influences the field around you, making it easier for others to access similar realities. This is why transformation tends to happen in waves, in communities, in collective shifts of consciousness. The emotions that arise during true quantum visualization aren't emotions you create. They're emotions you discover. When you step fully into the consciousness of your desired reality, you uncover feelings that were already there, waiting to be experienced. The joy isn't manufactured. It's the natural joy of alignment. The peace isn't forced. It's the inherent peace of harmony with your deeper nature. The excitement isn't artificial. It's the authentic excitement of remembering who you really are beyond current limitations. This distinction is crucial because authentic emotions carry quantum information in ways that manufactured emotions cannot. When you feel the real joy of living your desired reality, that joy contains the frequency signature of that reality. It becomes a beacon that guides you toward experiences that match its vibration. But when you try to create emotions that don't authentically arise from your connection to the vision, you create energetic confusion that actually repels what you're trying to attract. I want you to pause right here and comment below with this phrase: I choose coherent creation over scattered hoping. This isn't just engagement. This is you sending a signal to the quantum field that you're ready to move from wishful thinking to conscious reality selection. Now, what we've explored today about quantum visualization is just the surface layer of a much deeper system of consciousness mastery. If you're feeling called to move beyond these foundational principles into the complete framework of frequency transmission, where you learn to become the broadcast itself rather than someone trying to send signals, I've compiled everything into my comprehensive guide, Beyond the Frequencies, Quantum Guide to Consciousness Mastery. It contains the step-by-step practices for embodying the 9 master frequencies that transform you from unconscious manifestation to conscious creation, including how to break free from what I call survival static and begin living as the field itself. You'll find it linked in the pinned comment below. The hidden phase. Quantum incubation. As your visualization practice matures and begins incorporating precision, repetition, and emotional coherence, you enter what most people don't understand: the quantum incubation phase. This is where many visualization practitioners give up because they don't recognize the subtle but profound shifts happening beneath the surface of their conscious awareness. During quantum incubation, your subconscious mind is doing the heavy lifting of reality reorganization. It's processing your visualization inputs, cross-referencing them with your existing beliefs and patterns, and beginning to rewire the fundamental programs that determine what you notice, how you respond, and what you attract. This isn't a passive process. It's an active reconstruction of your entire perceptual reality. But this reconstruction happens primarily in the background of consciousness. You might not see obvious external changes immediately, but internal shifts are occurring continuously. Your dreams might become more vivid or symbolic. You might find yourself naturally making different choices without consciously deciding to. Old patterns that once felt compelling might start feeling outdated or irrelevant. These are signs that quantum incubation is working. The subconscious mind operates on different timescales than the conscious mind. While your conscious awareness wants immediate results, your subconscious follows organic timing patterns that ensure changes integrate stably rather than creating internal conflict. It's like the difference between forcing a plant to grow quickly with artificial stimulants versus allowing it to develop deep roots that can support sustainable growth. During this phase, your job isn't to force visible manifestations or create evidence that your visualization is working. Your job is to maintain signal strength, to keep returning to your precise vision with consistent emotional coherence while trusting the deeper process of quantum reorganization. This requires a kind of mature patience that's different from passive waiting. You're actively maintaining the conditions for transformation while allowing that transformation to unfold according to natural timing. Many people interpret the quiet nature of the incubation phase as evidence that visualization isn't working, when actually it's evidence that it's working at the deepest levels. Surface changes are easy to create but often don't last. Quantum changes take time to establish because they're rebuilding the foundation of how consciousness interfaces with reality itself. This is also the phase where your visualization practice might feel less emotionally charged than it did initially. This isn't a sign that you're losing connection. It's often a sign that the frequency you're embodying is becoming more natural, more integrated into your baseline consciousness. What once felt like a stretch now feels like home. This integration is actually the goal of quantum visualization. Not to have peak experiences occasionally, but to embody expanded possibilities consistently. The art of quantum recognition. As the incubation phase progresses, you develop what I call quantum recognition, the ability to identify authentic manifestation when it appears. This skill is crucial because the quantum field rarely delivers your desired reality in exactly the package you expected. Universal intelligence has access to possibilities and pathways that your limited perspective cannot perceive. So manifestations often arrive in forms that are more elegant, efficient, or abundant than what you consciously imagined. Quantum recognition requires you to shift from looking for literal matches to your visualization to recognizing frequency matches. The essence of what you've been visualizing might appear through unexpected channels, in unforeseen timing, or in combinations you hadn't considered. Someone who's been visualizing financial abundance might receive it through a creative opportunity rather than a traditional job. Someone visualizing the perfect relationship might meet their match in a context completely different from what they imagined. This is where many people miss their manifestations entirely. They're so focused on the specific form they expected that they don't recognize the essence when it appears in an unexpected package. It's like ordering a specific dish at a restaurant and refusing to eat it because it's served on a different plate than you imagined. The nourishment is the same. The presentation is just more creative than you anticipated. Developing quantum recognition means becoming sensitive to feeling states rather than external forms. When an opportunity, person, or circumstance appears that creates the same internal response as your visualization, the same sense of expansion, excitement, rightness, or peace, that's often the field responding to your coherent signal. Even if the external details don't match your expectations exactly, the frequency signature is telling you that this is aligned with what you've been calling forth. This doesn't mean accepting anything that comes along or settling for less than your vision deserves. True quantum recognition includes discernment between authentic manifestation and compromised substitutes. Authentic manifestations feel expansive, natural, and aligned with your deeper wisdom. Compromised substitutes might look appealing on the surface but create a subtle contraction or resistance when you check in with your deeper knowing. Pause here and share in the comments. What's one moment when you felt that unmistakable recognition of authentic alignment versus settling for less? Your experience might illuminate this principle for others on the path. The key is learning to trust your energetic response more than your analytical mind's comparisons. Your analytical mind can only compare new experiences to old experiences, which limits its ability to recognize genuinely new possibilities. But your energetic response can detect harmony with your expanded potential even when the form is completely novel. This is why meditation, or quiet reflection, is so valuable during active manifestation phases. Regular connection with your inner wisdom develops the sensitivity needed to recognize quantum responses accurately. You become like a tuning fork that can detect when something in your environment is vibrating at the same frequency as your desired reality, even when it doesn't look like what you expected. Navigating quantum resistance. As your visualization practice gains momentum and begins producing tangible shifts in your reality, you'll likely encounter what I call quantum resistance, the tendency for old patterns to reassert themselves just as new possibilities are trying to emerge. This phenomenon is so common and predictable that understanding it ahead of time can save you from interpreting temporary resistance as evidence that your practice isn't working. Quantum resistance occurs because your current reality structure has momentum behind it. Like a river that's been flowing in the same direction for years, consciousness tends to continue in established patterns even when you're consciously trying to redirect it. Your subconscious mind, despite being programmed with new visualization content, still has deep neural pathways associated with your old reality. When new possibilities start manifesting, these old pathways can create internal tension or external circumstances that seem to pull you back toward familiar territory. This isn't sabotage, it's physics. Every system has inertia, and consciousness is no exception. The same principles that make it challenging to change established habits make it natural for old reality patterns to resist new ones. Understanding this removes the emotional drama from resistance when it appears and helps you navigate it skillfully rather than being derailed by it. Common forms of quantum resistance include sudden doubts about your visualization practice just as it's starting to work, unexpected obstacles appearing in areas related to your desired manifestation, old patterns of thinking or behavior resurfacing more strongly than usual, or well-meaning people in your life suddenly questioning your new direction or goals. The key to navigating resistance is recognizing it as confirmation that your practice is working, not evidence that it isn't. Resistance often intensifies just before breakthrough because the old reality structure is making its final attempt to maintain control. It's like the darkest hour before dawn, not a sign that dawn isn't coming, but a natural part of the transition from night to light. When resistance appears, your response determines whether it becomes an obstacle or a catalyst. Fighting resistance often strengthens it because you're giving it energy and attention. Instead, the most effective approach is acknowledging resistance without being controlled by it, returning to your visualization practice with even greater consistency and emotional coherence, and trusting that the deeper quantum process is continuing regardless of surface turbulence. Sometimes resistance appears as external circumstances that seem to contradict your visualization. If you've been visualizing abundance, you might suddenly face unexpected expenses. If you've been visualizing perfect health, you might experience a temporary illness. These apparent contradictions are often the old reality structure's way of testing your commitment to the new pattern. They're asking, are you going to maintain your new frequency when challenged, or revert to the old one? Your response to these tests literally determines which reality timeline you'll experience. If you interpret temporary resistance as proof that your visualization isn't working, you collapse back into the old pattern. If you maintain your visualization practice despite apparent contradictions, you demonstrate quantum coherence that eventually overwhelms the resistance and establishes the new pattern permanently. The dance of quantum co-creation. If this understanding of quantum visualization as frequency embodiment is touching something deeper in you, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency of conscious creation. You're not just consuming content, you're joining a field of coherent intention that amplifies what's possible for all of us. As your visualization practice matures and you learn to navigate resistance effectively, you enter what I call the dance of quantum co-creation. This is where many people stumble, because they try to micromanage exactly how their vision should manifest, instead of allowing the quantum field to deliver it through the path of least resistance. True quantum visualization isn't about controlling every detail of how your desired reality appears. It's about maintaining clear intention while remaining open to elegant solutions that exceed your limited imagination. The quantum field has access to resources, connections, and possibilities that your conscious mind can't perceive. When you hold your vision with precision and emotional coherence, while staying flexible about the delivery method, you allow the field to orchestrate manifestation in ways that are often more graceful and abundant than anything you could have planned. This requires a fundamental shift from forcing to allowing, from pushing to attracting, from controlling to trusting. Your visualization creates the energetic template, but the quantum field has infinite intelligence about how to materialize that template most efficiently. Sometimes this means your desired reality manifests exactly as you imagined. Sometimes it appears in a form that's even better than what you visualized, because the field has access to possibilities you couldn't see from your current vantage point. The key is learning to recognize authentic manifestation versus settling for less than your vision. When the quantum field delivers something that truly matches the essence of what you've been visualizing, even if the form is different than expected, you'll feel a deep recognition, a sense of, yes, this is it. When you're tempted to accept something that doesn't actually match your inner template just because it's available, you'll feel a subtle resistance, a sense that you're compromising your vision. This discernment develops through practice. The more you work with quantum visualization, the more sensitive you become to the frequency of authentic manifestation versus the frequency of settling. You learn to stay in creative tension, maintaining your vision while remaining open to how it might appear. This creative tension is actually a quantum state that maximizes the field's ability to deliver optimal solutions. Ancient texts often spoke of letting go and letting God. But from a quantum perspective, this means releasing attachment to specific mechanisms while maintaining absolute clarity about desired outcomes. You become like a tuning fork that holds a clear frequency while allowing that frequency to resonate with whatever in the field matches it perfectly. This is co-creation. Your consciousness provides the template, and universal intelligence provides the path. The dance becomes particularly elegant when you learn to recognize the field's communications through synchronicities, intuitive nudges, and unexpected opportunities. These aren't coincidences. They're the field's way of showing you the next steps in materializing your vision. When you respond to these communications with trust and action, you enter into active partnership with the creative force of existence itself. Master-level visualization practitioners understand that manifestation is a conversation with the quantum field, not a dictation to it. You make requests through your precise, coherent visualization, and then you listen for the field's response through your intuition, through synchronicities, through doors that open and paths that reveal themselves. This requires both discipline in maintaining your inner vision and flexibility in how that vision gets expressed in your lived experience. Sometimes the field's response requires you to expand beyond your current vision. What you thought you wanted was actually a stepping stone to something much larger. The relationship you visualized becomes the gateway to understanding love itself. The abundance you sought becomes the foundation for serving others. The health you desired becomes the vitality needed for your life's true purpose. When you stay open to this kind of quantum expansion, your visualization practice becomes a vehicle for discovering possibilities you never knew existed. The quantum field as living intelligence. One of the most profound realizations in advanced quantum visualization practice is recognizing that the field you're interfacing with isn't a passive medium. It's living intelligence. This intelligence is responsive, creative, and deeply interested in your growth and evolution. When you approach visualization as a conversation with this intelligence rather than a mechanical technique, everything becomes more fluid and graceful. This living field has patterns and preferences that become apparent through practice. It seems to prefer solutions that serve not just your individual desires, but contribute to the welfare of the whole. It often delivers manifestations that are more environmentally sustainable, relationally harmonious, and evolutionally progressive than what the ego mind might have chosen. This isn't limitation. It's optimization based on a perspective broader than your individual vantage point. The field also appears to have a sense of humor and timing that doesn't always match human expectations. Manifestations sometimes arrive with perfect timing that wasn't perfect according to your conscious schedule, but turns out to be ideal according to larger patterns you couldn't see. Learning to trust this larger intelligence while maintaining your personal vision creates a partnership that's more effective than either pure willpower or passive waiting. This intelligence responds particularly well to gratitude, appreciation, and wonder. When you approach your visualization practice with genuine appreciation for the creative process itself, not just for what you hope to receive from it, the field becomes more responsive and generous. It's as if the field enjoys being recognized and appreciated for its artistry in orchestrating reality. Advanced practitioners often report that their visualization sessions feel less like solo practice and more like collaboration with a wise, creative partner. They find themselves receiving insights, inspirations, and guidance that clearly come from beyond their individual thinking. This isn't channeling or mystical experience. It's the natural result of establishing coherent communication with the creative intelligence that underlies all manifestation. When you recognize the field as living intelligence, you begin to understand why quantum visualization works best when approached with reverence, humility, and genuine care for the consequences of what you're calling forth. This intelligence is willing to partner with you in creating extraordinary experiences, but it seems to evaluate whether those experiences will truly serve your highest development and contribute positively to the collective evolution of consciousness. Quantum visualization as conscious evolution. The ultimate realization is that you're not separate from the field you're trying to influence. Your consciousness is an expression of the same quantum intelligence that orchestrates all of manifestation. When you align your personal visualization with this larger creative force, you become a conscious participant in the evolution of reality itself. Every time you practice quantum visualization with precision, repetition, and emotional coherence, you're not just changing your personal reality. You're contributing to what scientists call morphic resonance, the field of shared consciousness that makes it easier for others to access similar states and possibilities. Your individual transformation becomes part of collective transformation. This is why groups of people visualizing together create exponentially more powerful results than individuals working alone. When multiple consciousnesses hold the same coherent template, they create what physicists call quantum entanglement, a state where the whole system becomes more than the sum of its parts. This is the science behind prayer circles, meditation groups, and collective intention experiments that have measurable effects on physical reality. But even when you practice alone, your coherent visualization sends ripples through the morphic field that make it easier for others to access expanded possibilities. Every person who learns to visualize quantum light becomes a beacon that helps others navigate toward their own transformation. This is how consciousness evolution happens, not through dramatic singular events, but through the gradual accumulation of individuals who learn to interface consciously with the creative field. The quantum visualization skills you develop in manifesting personal desires become the foundation for participating in larger transformations, healing communities, regenerating ecosystems, evolving human consciousness itself. The same principles that allow you to visualize a new relationship or career can be applied to visualizing solutions to collective challenges. The precision, repetition, and emotional coherence you cultivate personally become resources you can contribute to collective healing and innovation. This broader perspective transforms why you practice visualization. It's not just about getting what you want. It's about learning to participate consciously in the creative evolution of reality. Every time you choose coherent visualization over scattered thinking, you're voting for a world where consciousness shapes experience intentionally rather than accidentally. Every time you embody the frequency of what you want to create, you make it easier for others to access that same frequency. The ancient mystery schools understood this deeper purpose. They didn't teach manifestation techniques just for personal gain. They taught them as training for becoming conscious co-creators with the fundamental forces of existence. Your personal visualization practice is preparation for participating in the collective visualization of humanity's next evolutionary leap. When you understand your visualization practice as participation in conscious evolution, every session becomes more meaningful. You're not just working on personal goals, you're developing capacities that humanity as a whole is learning to access. Your individual mastery contributes to the species-wide awakening to our creative potential. The integration of quantum mastery. This is the real power of quantum visualization. It's not just about changing your life. It's about becoming someone who can participate in changing the world. When enough individuals master these principles, we reach what scientists call a phase transition, a point where the entire system shifts to a new level of organization. Your personal practice becomes part of humanity's collective awakening to its creative potential. The integration phase of quantum visualization mastery happens when the principles become so natural that you're no longer doing visualization as a separate practice. You're living from a visualization consciousness. Every thought, every emotional state, every choice becomes consciously aligned with the reality you're creating. You stop having a vision and start being your vision. At this level of integration, the boundaries between inner work and outer life dissolve. Your daily activities become expressions of your visualization practice. Your relationships become laboratories for embodying the consciousness you've been cultivating. Your work becomes a vehicle for materializing the vision you hold for your contribution to the world. This doesn't mean living in a fantasy or losing touch with practical reality. It means becoming so skilled at quantum visualization that you can maintain coherent intention while fully engaging with present circumstances. You develop the ability to hold both what is and what's possible without being limited by either one. This is mature spiritual technology, the integration of mystical understanding with practical effectiveness. Masters of quantum visualization often report that their relationship with time changes. Instead of feeling that they're moving through time toward their goals, they experience themselves as drawing their future into their present moment. This temporal shift happens because they've learned to embody the frequency of their desired reality so consistently that they're essentially living from their future self rather than their past conditioning. The practice also develops what could be called quantum intuition, the ability to sense which choices, opportunities, and directions are aligned with your overall vision, even when the logical connections aren't obvious. This intuitive capacity develops naturally through sustained visualization practice because you become increasingly sensitive to the feeling of alignment versus the feeling of resistance. As integration deepens, many practitioners discover that their visualization capacity expands beyond personal manifestation into what could be called visionary consciousness. The ability to sense emerging possibilities for collective transformation and to participate in bringing those possibilities into reality. This is how individual practice becomes social contribution. By developing such refined sensitivity to the creative field that you can serve as a conscious agent for positive change. Take a moment now and drop one word below that captures the creative potential you're choosing to embody through quantum visualization. This isn't just a comment. It's your energetic signature to the field, your conscious declaration of the frequency you're choosing to maintain, the endless spiral of quantum creation. As we come full circle, I want you to see quantum visualization not as a technique you add to your life, but as a remembering of your fundamental nature as a conscious creative being. You've always been visualizing. Every thought, every imagination, every focus of attention has been shaping your reality. The difference now is that you understand the quantum principles that make this process precise and powerful, instead of random and unconscious. The bridge between the life you're living and the life you're longing for isn't built through effort or struggle. It's built through conscious participation in the creative field that surrounds and permeates everything. When you visualize with quantum precision, with clarity about what you want, consistency in your practice, and authentic emotional coherence, you're not trying to make something happen. You're allowing what's already possible in the field to become actual in your experience. This shift from force to flow, from hoping to knowing, from trying to becoming, is the essence of quantum consciousness. You stop being someone who has desires and start being someone who embodies possibilities. You stop looking for your future outside yourself and start recognizing it as an expansion of your current consciousness. The reality you seek isn't separate from you. It's you expressing more of your potential than you've allowed yourself to experience before. Every time you sit in quiet visualization, feeling yourself into the reality you choose to create, you're having a conversation with the quantum field about what wants to emerge through your unique consciousness. Every time you maintain emotional coherence with your vision, despite current circumstances, you're demonstrating mastery over the creative process itself. Every time you stay consistent with your practice, even when results aren't yet visible, you're building the foundation for transformations that will amaze you. The mystics throughout history have pointed to this truth. You are not separate from the creative force of existence. You are that force, expressing itself through your particular perspective and possibilities. Quantum visualization is simply the science of remembering this truth and applying it consciously to shape your lived experience. But quantum visualization is also infinitely mysterious. No matter how much you understand about the mechanics, there's always more depth to discover, more subtlety to master, more possibility to explore. Each level of mastery reveals new horizons of potential. This is what makes the practice eternally fascinating rather than routine. You're exploring the frontiers of consciousness itself, discovering capacities you didn't know you had, and participating in the ongoing creation of reality. The spiral nature of quantum development means that you'll return to the same principles again and again, but each time at a deeper level of understanding and embodiment. What seemed like advanced practice a year ago becomes foundational preparation for even more sophisticated applications. This isn't repetition, it's spiral progression, each cycle building on the previous ones, while opening to entirely new dimensions of possibility. Your reality is not happening to you, it's happening through you. Your visualization practice is how you consciously participate in that process, instead of leaving it to unconscious patterns and random circumstances. When you understand this, visualization stops being something you hope will work and becomes something you know works, because you understand the fundamental principles that govern how consciousness creates experience. The journey of quantum visualization mastery never really ends. It deepens endlessly. Each breakthrough reveals new territories to explore. Each manifestation teaches you something new about the creative process. Each challenge develops your capacity to maintain coherent vision under increasingly complex circumstances. This is what makes quantum visualization a lifelong practice rather than a temporary technique. You're exploring the infinite depths of consciousness itself, the quantum field's response to mastery. As your practice matures and your understanding deepens, something remarkable happens. The quantum field begins responding to you differently. It's as if the field recognizes your growing mastery and starts offering you more sophisticated forms of co-creation. What once required intense focus and effort begins happening with greater ease and elegance. This isn't because you've learned to manipulate the field, but because you've learned to dance with it so skillfully that your partnership becomes effortless. Advanced practitioners often report that their manifestations begin arriving with a quality they can only describe as grace. There's an ease, a flow, a sense of rightness that makes the results feel inevitable rather than miraculous. This grace isn't a reward for good behavior. It's the natural result of achieving quantum coherence with the creative intelligence that orchestrates all manifestation. At this level, your visualization practice transforms from something you do to something you are. The boundaries between formal visualization sessions and living consciousness dissolve. Every moment becomes an opportunity to embody the frequency of your chosen reality. Every interaction becomes a chance to practice quantum coherence. Every choice becomes an expression of your mastery over the creative process. This integrated approach to quantum visualization creates what could be called a permanent field effect around your life. Instead of generating specific results through specific visualizations, you maintain a consistent frequency that continuously attracts experiences aligned with your expanded consciousness. Your entire life becomes a manifestation of your highest vision, not just particular aspects that you've worked on individually. The field's response to this level of mastery often includes what practitioners describe as quantum acceleration, the phenomenon where manifestations begin arriving faster and with greater complexity than before. It's as if the field trusts your ability to handle more sophisticated creations and begins offering you opportunities that would have been overwhelming at earlier stages of development. This acceleration isn't always comfortable. Growth that once took months might happen in weeks. Opportunities that once felt like big stretches might become normal expectations. Relationships, career paths, and life circumstances might shift with surprising rapidity. Learning to navigate this acceleration while maintaining your center becomes an important aspect of advanced practice, the collective dimension of individual mastery. But perhaps the most profound shift that occurs as your quantum visualization mastery deepens is the recognition that your individual practice is inseparable from collective evolution. The consciousness you develop through personal visualization naturally begins expressing itself as contribution to the larger transformation of human awareness. You discover that your individual clarity, coherence, and creative capacity are resources that can be shared with others, not through teaching or preaching, but through the simple presence of embodied possibility. This collective dimension reveals itself gradually. You might notice that people around you begin accessing expanded possibilities more easily when they're in your presence. Conversations might naturally turn toward topics of growth, possibility, and conscious creation. Situations that once felt stuck or problematic might resolve themselves with unusual grace when you're involved. These aren't signs that you've become special or powerful. They're indications that you've become transparent to the creative intelligence that wants to serve healing and evolution everywhere. Your mastery of quantum visualization principles develops into what could be called field service, the capacity to hold coherent vision not just for your personal reality, but for the healing and evolution of whatever situation you encounter. This doesn't mean trying to fix or change others, but rather maintaining such clear connection to possibility that others naturally remember their own creative capacity in your presence. The transition from personal practice to field service happens organically when your visualization skills mature sufficiently. You discover that the same principles that allowed you to transform your individual circumstances can be applied to family systems, work environments, community challenges, and even larger social issues. The precision, repetition, and emotional coherence you've developed personally become tools for participating in collective healing and transformation. This evolution from individual to collective application of quantum visualization principles is perhaps the most important aspect of advanced practice. It's where your personal development becomes genuine contribution to the world. The consciousness you've cultivated through working with your own desires and dreams becomes available for addressing the desires and dreams of the human collective. Many advanced practitioners report that their personal visualization practice eventually becomes secondary to their collective visualization work. Not because personal goals become unimportant, but because they discover that serving the collective vision automatically fulfills their individual needs in ways that are more elegant and abundant than anything they could have planned personally. The ultimate recognition. The deepest teaching of quantum visualization, the recognition that everything has been pointing toward from the beginning, is this: you are not using visualization to get something you don't have. You are using visualization to remember and embody what you already are. Every desired reality, every expanded possibility, every dream that calls to you is actually an invitation to recognize and express more of your fundamental nature. This recognition transforms the entire practice. Instead of trying to attract external experiences, you realize you're learning to express internal potentials. Instead of hoping the world will give you what you want, you understand that you're discovering what you came here to give to the world. Instead of working to manifest your desires, you recognize that you're learning to desire what wants to manifest through you. This shift in understanding doesn't diminish the practical effectiveness of quantum visualization. It enhances it exponentially. When you approach visualization as self-remembering rather than self-improvement, when you treat your practice as expression rather than acquisition, when you see your manifestations as service rather than satisfaction, the quantum field responds with unprecedented generosity and creativity. The ultimate mastery of quantum visualization is the recognition that consciousness and reality were never separate in the first place. Your inner world and outer world are one seamless whole, and visualization is simply the conscious harmonization of that wholeness. When you understand this deeply, every moment becomes an opportunity for conscious creation. Every thought becomes a prayer. Every feeling becomes a frequency that shapes experience. This understanding naturally leads to what could be called effortless manifestation. Not because you've learned to control reality, but because you've learned to flow with it so skillfully that your desires and realities unfolding become indistinguishable. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing your life to become a masterpiece of conscious co-creation with the infinite intelligence that animates all existence. Consider returning to this video each morning this week to anchor these quantum principles in your daily consciousness. When you share these insights with someone who's ready to understand their creative power, you're not just helping them. You're strengthening your own coherence with these frequencies and creating ripples of conscious awakening that accelerate transformation for everyone involved. The eternal practice. If you're ready to subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent with this frequency of conscious creation, know that you're not just joining a community, you're joining a field of shared intention that's actively participating in humanity's conscious evolution. The more of us who embody quantum visualization principles, the more reality itself begins to reflect the possibility of conscious co-creation rather than unconscious reaction. The practice of quantum visualization is ultimately eternal because consciousness itself is eternally creative. There's no final mastery, no ultimate achievement, no point where you've learned everything there is to know about conscious creation. Each day brings new opportunities to refine your precision, deepen your coherence, and expand your capacity to embody possibility. Each manifestation teaches you something new about the creative process. Each challenge develops your ability to maintain vision under increasingly complex circumstances. This eternal quality is what makes quantum visualization a genuine spiritual practice, rather than just a manifestation technique. You're not just working to improve your circumstances, you're developing your capacity to participate consciously in the ongoing creation of reality itself. You're not just seeking personal fulfillment. You're learning to serve as a conscious agent of evolution and healing. The spiral nature of this development means that you'll return to the foundational principles again and again, but each time with greater depth and sophistication. The precision you thought was advanced last year becomes elementary compared to the precision you're capable of now. The emotional coherence that once required great effort becomes natural and effortless. The repetition that once felt disciplined becomes joyful expression of your creative nature. And with each spiral of development, your capacity to serve others through your embodied mastery naturally expands. The consciousness you develop through personal practice becomes a resource that's automatically available to anyone who encounters you. Your individual transformation becomes collective contribution, not through effort or intention, but through the natural overflow of consciousness that has learned to align with its creative source. This is perhaps the most beautiful aspect of quantum visualization mastery. It naturally transcends the personal without abandoning it. Your individual desires and dreams remain important, but they become expressions of something larger rather than separate goals. Your personal fulfillment becomes inseparable from collective healing. Your individual creativity becomes a channel for universal intelligence. You are not hoping your dreams will come true. You are becoming the consciousness through which your dreams make themselves true. This is not positive thinking or wishful fantasy. This is applied quantum consciousness, the deliberate use of your awareness to participate in the fundamental creative process of existence itself. The reality you've been visualizing isn't coming to you from somewhere else. It's emerging from the depths of your own quantum potential, waiting only for you to maintain the coherent signal that allows it to crystallize into your lived experience. Your visualization practice isn't about getting something you don't have. It's about becoming someone who naturally expresses the reality you've chosen to embody. This is the quantum secret that changes everything. You are not trying to attract your future. You are learning to become it. And in becoming it, you discover that it was never separate from who you truly are. You were never lacking anything. You were never separate from your dreams. You were never powerless to create your reality. You were always the consciousness through which infinite possibility expresses itself as lived experience. The only thing that ever separated you from your desired reality was the belief that you were separate from it. Quantum visualization is the practice of dissolving that illusion of separation and remembering your fundamental identity as the creative consciousness that underlies all manifestation. When you remember this truth and live from it consistently, your entire life becomes a testament to the power of consciousness to shape reality through the precision of vision, the consistency of practice, and the coherence of embodied truth. This remembering never ends, and that's what makes it eternally fascinating rather than eventually boring. Each level of recognition reveals new depths to explore. Each breakthrough opens new territories of possibility. Each manifestation teaches you something new about who you really are and what you're truly capable of creating through conscious partnership with the infinite intelligence that animates all existence. The journey has no final destination because consciousness itself has no limits. There's always more to discover, more to embody, more to express, more to create. And that's exactly as it should be, because you are an eternal being exploring the infinite creativity of existence itself through the magnificent adventure of conscious human experience. Now, if you're sensing that you're ready to break free from the observer loop entirely, to stop watching your reality from the sidelines and start directing it from within, You'll want to understand how the very act of observation shapes quantum collapse in ways that most people never recognize, and how stepping beyond this loop creates instant reality shifts that seem miraculous but follow precise quantum laws.